The camera slowly pans over the landscape of a stunning beach. The sky's clear and cloudless, the blue of the sea blending with the sky while the waves gently break on the golden sand. The sound of the sea is soothing, but something in the air suggests that this day will be unlike any other. The gentle breeze caresses the faces of those walking on the beach, and a sense of freedom is in the air. But as the camera approaches the horizon, a convertible appears, shattering the calm. It speeds along as if it has something important to deliver. The car stops abruptly, raising a cloud of sand around it, and from within, an imposing figure emerges, Miley Cyrus. She appears with unmistakable style, wearing a modern and bold swimsuit, a reflection of her vibrant personality, unafraid to be who she truly is. The contrast between the serene beach setting and her arrival, with her exuberant presence, creates a subtle tension in the air. Miley smiles, completely at ease with the scene around her, and seems unfazed by the curious glances of those present. It's as if she's a force of nature, blending seamlessly into the scene, yet at the same time bringing a new rhythm to the place. As she walks along the sand, her confident smile is an invitation to anyone willing to break down barriers and embrace freedom. People's eyes turn to her. Some in admiration, some in surprise. Everyone wants to understand how one person can convey such confidence and authenticity. Miley, with her characteristic confidence, is a reflection of a life lived unafraid to be who she truly is, without worrying about other people's expectations. She's not just a star. She's a symbol of something greater, the freedom to be, do, and say whatever she wants without submitting to society's standards. And in that moment, the beach is no longer just a place to relax, it becomes the stage for something that's about to happen. Yet, despite this aura of self-sufficiency and power that Miley exudes, there's something deeply human about her. The connection she establishes with her surroundings and the people around her goes beyond her celebrity status. And it's in this setting that the story begins to take shape. As she settles down on the sand, Miley notices a young woman watching her from a distance. The camera zooms in on the fan, revealing her eyes filled with uncertainty and hesitation. She's unsure whether or not to approach. The contrast between Miley's confidence and the young woman's insecurity creates a palpable tension. What happens when someone like Miley, with her uncomplicated and bold attitude, encounters someone still trapped in the chains of doubt and shyness? The young woman watches for a few seconds, as if pondering whether or not to summon the courage to cross that invisible line separating their worlds. She senses something is about to happen, but fear of the unknown and insecurity about what to say prevent her from acting. And then an unexpected impulse arises. She takes a deep breath, gathers her courage, and begins walking toward Miley. What will happen at this meeting could change the young woman's life forever. But before taking this step, she doesn't know what awaits her, and neither does Miley. Their future, at that moment, is unpredictable. What do you think Miley thinks when she sees the fan approaching? Was she aware of the impact her simple gesture can have? Does she understand that her presence has the power to change that young woman's life? Or perhaps it's precisely this freedom to live without expectations that makes her so powerful and unique. What was about to happen on that beach in the middle of summer would become a story no one would ever forget. As the young woman approaches Miley, the sound of the waves mingles with the rhythm of her racing heart. The tension between them is palpable, and as the young woman approaches, she finds herself torn between the desire to get closer to her idol and the feeling of being a fish out of water. Amidst so much confidence and glamour, her insecurity shines through in every step she takes, but in a moment of courage, she finally reaches Miley, who, upon noticing her, doesn't hesitate to flash a welcoming smile. The initial tension dissolves immediately, as if Miley's presence were an invitation for the young woman to free herself from her own limitations. Miley, with her intense yet gentle gaze, asks the young woman if everything is okay. Her voice carries a relaxed, unhurried tone, as if she were there to listen and understand. The young woman, still shy, begins to speak, gradually revealing her insecurities and fears that prevent her from being who she truly wants to be. She talks about societal pressures, beauty standards, and the expectations everyone around her has of her. Miley listens attentively, but what really surprises her is not the content of the conversation, but the fact that with just one simple question, she managed to break down all the young woman's barriers, making her open up in a way she never imagined. In a calm, almost philosophical tone, Miley begins to talk about her own journey. She's not just a pop star. She's a woman who has faced all kinds of challenges, judgments, and criticism. She talks about her struggle to find herself, to understand what she truly wanted from life, to be authentic in a world that constantly tries to impose standards. Miley shares her own doubts and moments of vulnerability, which makes the young woman realize that behind the public image of a star, there is a real person, with fears and insecurities similar to her own. This is the moment when the young woman realizes she is not alone. Miley also reveals the secret to her freedom and self-confidence, the ability to free herself from other people's expectations. She talks about the power of being authentic, of following her own desires and wishes, even if it means facing criticism and rejection. For Miley, true beauty lies in being true to herself without giving in to society's imposed standards. When you free yourself from what others think of you, life becomes simpler, lighter, she says with a sincere smile. The young woman slowly begins to understand the weight of these words, and something inside her begins to shift, as if a blockage were being undone. As the conversation deepens, Miley pauses and looks out to sea, as if contemplating the vastness of the world and its possibilities. "What are you afraid to do?" she asks the young woman with a look that conveys more than words can express. It's an invitation for the young woman to explore her own limits, to challenge herself to step outside her comfort zone. The young woman finally realizes she faces a unique opportunity, the chance to reinvent herself, to free herself from the chains that bind her, and most importantly, to embrace her true essence. The encounter with Miley, in its simplicity and depth, becomes a moment of reflection and transformation. The conversation continues with laughter, knowing glances, and a relaxed atmosphere, but Miley's words continue to echo in the young woman's mind. This is one of those life-altering moments, when she begins to realize she has the power to change her story, to break the invisible chains that prevent her from living her truth. Miley isn't just a pop star, she's a guide, a muse who inspires courage and self-confidence in everyone she crosses. But the true transformation is just beginning. The young woman still has much to learn and discover about herself. And the question remains, will she have the courage to take the next step? Or will she remain shadowed by the expectations the world insists on placing on her? Miley, with her provocative gaze, seems to be waiting for the answer. The sun begins to set, tinting the sky with orange and gold hues as the two walk along the beach. The scenery around them seems to reflect the change taking place within the young woman. Miley, with her captivating and confident presence, walks beside her as if she were a longtime friend, and her company conveys a comfort the young woman never imagined feeling with a celebrity. However, what is happening between them goes far beyond a simple chance encounter. What Miley has done, with her sincerity and authenticity, is show the young woman that true transformation begins from the inside out. The young woman, who once felt insecure and trapped by the world's expectations, now begins to see herself in a completely new way. She no longer defines her worth by the opinions of others. Miley's words still resonate in her mind, like a mantra that fills her with growing confidence. "Freedom is key," Miley said, and now as she walks the beach alongside her idol, the young woman realizes that this freedom isn't something that comes from outside, but from within. The transformation is happening, and it's more powerful than anything she's ever experienced. As they walk toward the water, Miley stops and turns to the young woman. With a smile, she poses one final challenge. Now, the real question is, what will you do with this new version of yourself? Will you stay hidden, afraid of what others think, or will you allow yourself to be who you truly are? The young woman looks at Miley, and for the first time, she's not afraid to answer. She doesn't need any more external validation. She already has everything she needs within herself. Without hesitation, she approaches the water, the salty air mingling with the renewal in her heart. And then the young woman takes her first step into the water. Miley, with a satisfied smile on her face, follows her example and, without thinking twice, jumps in too. They both splash, laughing, letting the salty water wash away all the insecurities and fears that had held them back until that moment. The moment is simple yet profound. There are no longer barriers between them, just two women, free, exploring the world in its entirety, unafraid of what others might think or say. The young woman, now more confident, realizes that true freedom lies not in conforming to other people's standards, But in allowing herself to be unique, genuine, and authentic, as they emerge from the water, the sun begins to sink behind the horizon, giving way to night that arrives slowly but unhurriedly. The scenery around them blurs, but the young woman's inner transformation is clear and distinct. She now knows who she is, and more importantly, she understands that the path to happiness and freedom begins with self-acceptance. Miley, with her irreverent and inspiring way, was the key that unlocked this change. She didn't need to teach anything. She just needed to be who she is. As they walk away, laughing and talking, the camera focuses on the young woman's face. Her gaze is different now. She has the eyes of someone about to write a new story for herself. The moment may have begun with doubts and insecurities, but now, she is certain that she can be whoever she wants to be without fear. And the message is clear. Being free is, above all, an act of courage. The sound of waves crashes gently on the shore as the camera slowly pulls away. The two become small in the vast landscape, but it's impossible not to feel that their encounter profoundly changed something in the young woman. She will never be the same again. And perhaps, deep down, Miley won't be either. Because in the end, all of us, when we allow ourselves to be authentic and free, transform.